This page is the cover of Total 64 magazine, Volume 2, Issue 5. It features Banjo and Kazooie prominently, showcasing their appearance in Banjo-Kazooie. The cover also highlights a preview of The Legend of Zelda, specifically mentioning Shigeru Miyamoto's involvement, and describing it as a legendary RPG. There's also a blurb about an E3 report covering the latest news from the show. The reviews section lists Banjo-Kazooie, All-Star Baseball 99, NBA Courtside, Air Border 64, Bust-A-Move 2, and Jeopardy! While previews include Space Circus, Buck Bumble, and Earthworm Jim 3D. A special in-depth E3 report and a Forsaken solution are also promised. The overall tone suggests a focus on popular 64 titles of the time, with a clear emphasis on new releases and previews, promising readers a comprehensive overview of the N64 gaming landscape. This page is a cover for Ultimate PC Magazine, boasting the UK's best conflict-free games. It features a dramatic image showcasing futuristic warfare and alien creatures, likely from conflict-free space. The Great War. The cover highlights 2 free creds packed with games. Disc 1 includes conflict-free space, The Great War, Nightmare Creatures, Johnny Herbert's GPC-98, Team Apache, Outwars, The Third Millennium, and Dark Rift, plus many more. Disc 2 offers Echelon, Fields of Fire, Battlezone, Total Annihilation, KKND, Crossfire, Dark Reign, Rising Lands, Uprising, Dark Colony, and Age of Empires, among others. Additional games listed include Unreal, Microsoft Golf 98, Monster Truck Madness 2, Comanche Gold, Xenocracy, War Games, and more. The overall impression is a comprehensive collection of popular PC games from the late 1990s. This page is a full-page advertisement for issue 11 of Ultimate PC Magazine. It's priced at £3.95 and features a cover showcasing conflict-free space, The Great War, along with Tomb Raider 2-1. 2 demo seeds are included, and the overall tone is a celebration of high-quality PC gaming in the late 1990s. This page is a contents page and preview for Total 64 magazine, issue 17. It features a news special on E3, showcasing upcoming games. We see snippets of The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Earthworm, Jim, 3D, Space Circus, and Buck Bumble. The preview section highlights Space Circus as Infogrames' answer to Super Mario 64, and Buck Bumble as a 3D insect shooter from the creators of Starwing. A solutions section promises a walkthrough for Forsaken. The overall tone is upbeat and enthusiastic about the upcoming Nintendo 64 releases. This page is the contents page for Total 64 magazine, issue 17. The main feature is a preview of games shown at E3, highlighting Nintendo's strong showing. Reviews include Banjo-Kazooie, praised as a potential Mario killer, 2 MLB games, Kobe Bryant's NBA basketball, and Tsunami, a puzzle game. Other previews cover Air Border 64, Rampage World Tour, Bust-A-Move 2, and Jeopardy! A TV tie-in game, viewed skeptically. The editorial expresses excitement over the upcoming 64 titles, contrasting it with the approaching end of the PlayStation and Saturn life cycles. The magazine also features sections on news, reviews, cheats, and reader art. This page from Total 64 magazine, issue 17, focuses on upcoming 64 releases. A major highlight is the preview of Perfect Dark, Rare's follow-up to GoldenEye 007, which features Joanna Dark, a female operative. The game boasts improved graphics and gameplay over its predecessor, including underwater missions and an expanded alien conspiracy storyline. Screenshots showcase the game's impressive visuals. Other previews include Hybrid Heaven from Konami, anticipated for a Christmas release, and Ganbare Goemon, another entry in the puzzle platforming series. The editorial expresses confidence in the quality of these upcoming 64 titles, contrasting the console's strong lineup with the perceived decline of the PlayStation and Saturn. This page is a preview of Glover, Hasbro Interactive's first 64 game. The story involves a young wizard who accidentally transforms into a ball after a chemistry mishap, losing his magic gloves in the process. Gameplay involves controlling this ball, which can morph into various shapes across 6 colorful worlds, 30 areas total, to recover the crystals and free the wizard. The game's visuals are showcased in screenshots, highlighting the varied environments and the transformation mechanic. The article also briefly mentions several other upcoming 64 titles, including Actual Golf, Aeronauts, All-Star Baseball 99, Andretti Racing, Bio Tetris, Body Harvest, Bottom of the Ninth, Buggy Boogie, Command & Conquer, Cruisin' World, Daikatana, Dear Blue, Donkey Kong Country 64, Dragonstorm, Duke Nukem, Time to Kill, Earthbound 64, F1 Simulator, Flights of the Un, Zero X Expansion Set, Ghouls & Ghosts 64, Hybrid Heaven, Kirby's Air Ride, Konami Baseball, Legend of Zelda 64 DD, Looney Tunes 64, Magic, The Gathering, and Mario 64 2. The reviewer is positive about Glover, anticipating its release in the last quarter of 1998. A short note confirms that IS-98 will not be participating in the World Cup, but will return in September. This page covers the upcoming release of WWF Warzone for the Nintendo 64. The article highlights the game's features, including a variety of match types, the ability to create custom wrestlers, and a roster of 18 WWF superstars with over 300 wrestling moves. Screenshots show in-game action, emphasizing the game's realistic graphics and presentation. The reviewer is enthusiastic, predicting WWF Warzone will be a hit. The page also briefly mentions the upcoming release of Mission Impossible 2, and discusses delays for Nightmare Creatures. Several other N64 games are listed, including Mario Artist, various versions, Mega Man 64, NBA Jam 99, and others, though no detailed reviews are offered. This page features a UK N64 games chart, showcasing the top 5 games: World Cup 98, GoldenEye 007, Forsaken, Yoshi's Story, and Mystical Ninja. Price comparisons are provided from different retailers. A short article follows, titled, Lips Gets Lippy, which is a personal anecdote about the author's experiences with competitive running, ultimately leading to a preference for less strenuous activities. The second half of the page presents upcoming 64 game releases, categorized by release quarter of 1998. Notable titles include Robotech, Crystal Dreams, WWF Warzone, Superman, the animated series, and International Superstar Soccer 98. A final section previews Jet Force Gemini, highlighting its unique gameplay blending action and puzzle-solving elements, along with a deathmatch mode. The reviewer anticipates that the game's blend of action and puzzles, along with its multiplayer capabilities, will make it a popular title. This page is a feature article covering the Electronic Entertainment Expo, E3. The author describes the intense heat in Atlanta during the event, contrasting it with the cool, air-conditioned venues. The main focus is Nintendo's presence at E3, specifically highlighting a pre-show press conference attended by many journalists. The author concludes that, of the 3 major console manufacturers, Nintendo, Sony, and Sega, Nintendo's games were the best overall, with only Sony's Metal Gear Solid coming close to matching their quality. The page includes images of a character resembling Banjo from Banjo-Kazooie, and a promotional shot of the Nintendo logo and Metal Gear Solid is mentioned. This page is a report on Nintendo's E3 showing in Atlanta, focusing on the unveiling of The Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo 64. Shigeru Miyamoto's appearance on stage generated huge excitement, and the reveal of playable code the following day was a major highlight. The article contrasts Nintendo's positive reception with earlier comments on Sony and Sega's performance, emphasizing the strong anticipation for the upcoming Zelda title and its planned release in November 1998 in America and before Christmas in other regions. Images include Miyamoto on stage, promotional shots of Zelda, and merchandise from the expo. The overall tone is one of excitement and high praise for Nintendo's showing at E3. This page is a follow-up to the previous E3 report, focusing on other Nintendo 64 game announcements. The article highlights the excitement surrounding the upcoming release of The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, emphasizing that the E3 show was all about Zelda. Other games mentioned include GoldenEye 007, Jet Force Gemini, Conker's Bad Fur Day, and Banjo-Kazooie. The article also discusses the new Color Game Boy, which was announced to be backwards compatible. Screenshots show gameplay footage of 12 Tales, Jet Force Gemini, and The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. The overall tone is still one of positive anticipation for Nintendo's upcoming releases. This page is a feature article focusing on the upcoming Nintendo 64 game, Perfect Dark. It's a behind-the-scenes look at the game's development, highlighting its improved GoldenEye engine, enhanced graphics, and more interactive environments. The article also mentions the game's storyline, featuring Joanna Dark as a secret operative investigating Datadyne. There are several screenshots showcasing gameplay and environments from Perfect Dark, along with smaller images of 12 Tails and Jet Force Gemini. The overall tone is enthusiastic and positive, emphasizing the anticipated release of Perfect Dark as a significant upcoming title. This page is a preview of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64. It features several screenshots showcasing Link's adventures, including a scene with him using water magic and another depicting combat. The article quotes the developers, emphasizing the game's aim to create a world that evokes both wonder and fear, boasting enhanced graphics and interactive environments. The reviewer highlights the game's advanced engine, comparing it favorably to GoldenEye 007, praising its smooth gameplay and advanced AI. The article also briefly touches on the development process and the decision to forego the James Bond license for more creative freedom. The overall tone is one of high anticipation for the game's release. This page is a continuation of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time preview from the previous page. It delves deeper into the game's graphics and gameplay. The writer discusses the impressive draw distance and the surprisingly realistic-looking sunset. However, they express some disappointment that the towns are pre-rendered, unlike the real-time rendered world they expected. The article then shifts to the game's innovative 3D fighting system, detailing how Link can enter a fight mode for enhanced combat maneuvers. Screenshots throughout the page showcase various aspects of gameplay, including Link interacting with characters, using magic, and engaging in combat. The overall tone remains positive, but with a touch of critical analysis regarding the pre-rendered towns. This page features a review of several Nintendo 64 games showcased at E3. The main focus is on Rare's upcoming titles: Perfect Dark, a sequel to GoldenEye 007, and the new Jet Force Gemini. The reviewer also highlights 12 Tails: Conquer 64, praising its unexpectedly high-quality graphics and gameplay, surpassing expectations and even exceeding Zelda: Ocarina of Time in some aspects. The article includes screenshots of each game, showing off their diverse styles and characters. The overall tone is enthusiastic, with particular praise for the visual quality and innovative gameplay mechanics seen in 12 Tails: Conquer 64. This page is a review of several Nintendo 64 games shown at E3, focusing on Rare's titles. Perfect Dark is described as a cartoon adventure with classic platform gameplay, offering the unique ability to play from either Conquer or his sister Barry's perspective. Jet Force Gemini is briefly mentioned, showcasing early gameplay. Cruisin' World and Rogue Squadron are also reviewed, with the latter praised for incorporating the best elements of previous Star Wars games. 12 Tails: Conquer 64 receives significant praise for its high-quality visuals and fast-paced gameplay. The reviewer notes the impressive frame rate and the 4-player battle mode. However, there is disappointment regarding the lack of news on the 64DD at the conference. The page also shows the Game Boy camera and printer. This page showcases a behind-the-scenes look at several games at E3, primarily focusing on Turok 2, Seeds of Evil for Nintendo 64, and Acclaim's lineup. The Turok 2 preview highlights the game's stunning graphics, massive levels, and impressive arsenal, including a triple rocket launcher and a stun device. The reviewer is particularly impressed by the game's atmosphere and the visceral effects of the weaponry. The page also features brief mentions and screenshots of All-Star Baseball 99, Extreme G2, and Shadow Man, providing a glimpse into their gameplay. The overall tone suggests high anticipation for the upcoming releases, with a particular focus on the innovative and intense gameplay of Turok 2. A short section also comments on Nintendo's presence at E3, highlighting their Game Boy lineup and expressing mild disappointment in the lack of 64DD news. This page is a feature article from a gaming magazine, likely from the late 1990s, covering Acclaim's E3 showcase. The main focus is Shadow Man, described as a dark, platform racer beat-em-up, with a unique, non-cutesy aesthetic, contrasting with typical platformers. The article also features previews of Turok 2, All-Star Baseball 99, NFL QB 99, and Extreme G2. Screenshots of gameplay from these games are displayed alongside the text. The writer expresses excitement for Iggy's Wreckin' Balls, highlighting its 4-player mode and innovative gameplay. The reviewer seems particularly impressed with Acclaim's lineup, especially praising Shadow Man and Iggy's Wreckin' Balls for their originality and dark tone. The article hints at a significant surprise game reveal to come. This page is a feature from a gaming magazine, likely from the late 1990s, focusing on E3 show reports. It covers several games, including Shadow Man, WWF Warzone, and Mortal Kombat 4, with screenshots showcasing gameplay. The article discusses Acclaim's strategy to target a wider age range, moving away from cutesy characters. A significant portion is dedicated to Midway's upcoming title, Body Harvest. Described as a sci-fi action game with a 1950s B-movie feel, where humanity fights giant alien insects, the writer's tone suggests a preference for darker, more mature titles, contrasting Body Harvest's unique style with the rubbish N64 releases that preceded it. The overall impression is one of excitement for the upcoming releases, particularly Shadow Man and Body Harvest, while expressing some skepticism about the success of Extreme G2 against Nintendo's competition. This page is a preview of upcoming Nintendo 64 games from E3, focusing on Rally 64, an early, fast version with over 50 tracks promised. Mortal Kombat 4, a conversion of the arcade hit, praised for its speed and playability despite the writer's dislike of the series. And Body Harvest, a game described as huge, with varied vehicles and aliens, considered one of the year's must-haves. Other games briefly shown are Buck Bumble, 12 Tales, Survivor, NFL Blitz, and Space Circus. The reviewer enjoyed Mortal Kombat 4 more than expected, and highlights the impressive scale of Body Harvest. The overall tone is positive, showcasing the potential of the N64's upcoming titles. This page showcases a selection of Nintendo 64 games from E3 1997. The article focuses on Wipeout 64, a futuristic racing game, praising its speed and visuals, but noting it's facing stiff competition from Zero X and Extreme Egg. The article also covers Or Die Trying, a Tomb Raider-esque action-adventure game, highlighting its third-person perspective and unique premise. Finally, Konami's offerings are discussed, including Metal Gear Solid, PlayStation version only, Hybrid Heaven, and Castlevania 64, video-only preview, and a new title, Survivor. Day 1, a futuristic shooter set on a spaceship under alien attack, described as a spin-off from Hybrid Heaven. The overall tone suggests excitement for the N64's growing library, but also acknowledges the competitive landscape. Screenshots of gameplay from each game are included. This page is a full-page advertisement for Gran Turismo 64, Championship Edition. It emphasizes the game's realistic racing, incredible graphics, and high speed. The ad features dramatic black and white artwork of racing cars, and uses the tagline, "Until the lights go green." This page is a feature article from a gaming magazine, likely from the late 1990s, covering several games showcased at an E3 show. The main focus is on the near completion of Mission Impossible for the Nintendo 64, described as a spy simulation game with impressive graphics and varied gameplay, adapting scenes from the movie. Other titles mentioned include Castlevania 64, Hybrid Heaven, ISS 98, International Superstar Soccer, Rayman 2, Space Circus, Jest, Rally 64, and Glover. The reviewer expresses excitement about the Mission Impossible game being finalized, while noting that GoldenEye 007 fans might be disappointed by its different style. The article also briefly previews Space Circus and Jest, contrasting their gameplay styles as a platformer and a linear adventure, respectively. This page is a full-page advertisement for Gran Turismo Championship Edition for the Nintendo 64. It boasts 12 fully licensed teams and 12 tracks, emphasizing realistic gameplay and stunning 3D graphics. The ad uses dramatic imagery and bold text to highlight the game's speed and intense racing experience. This page is a feature article from a gaming magazine, likely from the late 1990s, reporting on the Electronic Entertainment Expo, E3. It showcases several games, including Rayman 2, presented as a significant improvement over its predecessor, SCARS, described as a fun racing game with imaginative tracks, Glover, a unique platformer where the player controls a glove to manipulate a ball, and Quake 2, an early version shown at the Activision booth. The reviewer comments on the impressive visuals and gameplay of Quake 2, despite its early stage of development, as well as expressing some fatigue with the abundance of 3D platformers at E3. But overall, the review is positive for the games displayed. The article also touches on a Nintendo 64 version of Gex 3D, noting its similarity to the PlayStation version. This page is a full-page advertisement for Gran Turismo 64, Championship Edition. It emphasizes the game's realistic features, like real-time weather and damage modeling, and challenges players with a driving test. The ad uses a stylized, chalkboard-esque design with racing car illustrations. This page is a preview of Earthworm Jim 3D for the Nintendo 64. The article highlights the game's development progress, showcasing gameplay screenshots featuring Jim's signature pig-sliding move and his inventive weaponry. The writer expresses excitement about the game's release, commenting on the unique and quirky humor, improved graphics, and the inclusion of subgames, while noting that Jim, previously a 2D character, is now fully rendered in 3D. The overall tone is enthusiastic, emphasizing the anticipation for the game's imminent release. This page is a preview of Earthworm Jim 3D for Nintendo 64, focusing on its quirky humor and gameplay. Screenshots show Jim in various levels, including Physical, Fear, and Wild West, highlighting his unique abilities and the varied environments. The article notes the transition from 2D to 3D graphics, improved visuals, and the addition of minigames, with an overall enthusiastic tone anticipating the game's release. The writer even mentions needing psychiatric help after playing it. This page is a preview for the Nintendo 64 game Space Circus, developed by Infogrames. The article highlights the game's unique, quirky humor and features screenshots showcasing its vibrant, colorful visuals and strange alien characters. The writer discusses the development process and the challenges of creating a high-quality 64 title, comparing it to the deluge of subpar games released at the time. Starshot, the main character, is shown encountering a variety of bizarre alien creatures. The overall tone is positive, expressing excitement for the game's release despite the relative lack of information available prior to launch. This page is a preview of Space Circus for the Nintendo 64, focusing on its vibrant visuals and quirky characters. The article compares the game favorably to Super Mario 64, highlighting its unique third-person 3D perspective and diverse cast of over 300 characters, with a total of 5,000 in the whole game. Early character designs are shown, emphasizing the game's zany aesthetic. The writer anticipates Space Circus's success, noting Infogrames' focus on storyline and character development to differentiate it from other 64 releases. The overall tone is enthusiastic and optimistic about the game's potential. This page showcases finalized character designs for Space Circus, a Nintendo 64 game. It presents a colorful cast of quirky enemies, including Mechanical Foot Soldier, Jaw Phantom, Phantom Wu, General Kill Kill, Mercenaries Ball Ghoul, Bush Monster, Punching Ball, Quattro Blue, Virtua Robot, Monstrous Soldier, Super Sponge, and Sweet Pinkos. Each character description highlights their unique abilities and personalities, emphasizing the game's humorous and slightly bizarre tone. The article continues the positive assessment from the previous page, highlighting the individuality of the characters and their contribution to the game's overall appeal. This page is a preview of the Nintendo 64 game Space Circus. It features screenshots showing various environments and gameplay, highlighting the game's unique blend of science fiction and cartoon visuals, a style the article calls toon fiction. The protagonist, Starshot, is introduced as a performer in a space circus. The article compares the game's style to that of Looney Tunes and Mars Attacks, noting the inclusion of dialogue and a departure from typical platformer mechanics. The reviewer suggests the game's level design is challenging, even exceeding that of Konami's titles. They also mention influences like George Lucas and Jules Verne, and anticipate more text in the final version. This page is a character profile and gameplay preview for the Nintendo 64 game Space Circus. It introduces the main characters: Starshot, the mischievous star-juggling protagonist; Willfall, the obsequious cowardly sidekick; Willfly, the dependable flying rocket; and Starcash, the harsh but unseen owner of the Space Circus. The text emphasizes the game's unique, colorful world and challenging platforming, contrasting it with typical platformers. Screenshots showcase the game's vibrant environments and the characters in action, highlighting the game's toon fiction art style. The review suggests that Space Circus aims for a challenging experience, surpassing even some of Konami's titles, with a unique blend of science fiction and cartoonish elements. This page is a preview for the Nintendo 64 game Space Circus, featuring a detailed look at the gameplay and characters. The main character, Starshot, is highlighted, along with his companions. The article emphasizes the game's non-linear structure, unique visuals, blending science fiction and cartoon styles, and challenging platforming gameplay. The reviewer expects Space Circus to be a standout title, citing its originality and humor as key strengths, while noting that the speed of the game might initially present a control challenge. The overall tone is positive, predicting a fantastic little title. This page is a preview for the Nintendo 64 game Buck Bumble. The article describes it as a genuinely unique 3D shooter, filling a gap in the N64's library, unlike other poorly conceived games. The game features Buck Bumble, a brave, and somewhat stupid, bee fighting hordes of mutated insects using various weapons. Visually stunning with great sound design, it offers a two-player mode. The game is set across 5 diverse environments. The reviewer is highly enthusiastic, praising its visuals, sound, and gameplay, comparing it favorably to Mario 64, suggesting it's far more than just an update. Screenshots show various gameplay sequences and environments, highlighting the game's colorful, cartoon-like graphics. This page is a preview of Buck Bumble for the Nintendo 64, continuing the enthusiastic review from the previous page. The article focuses on the game's impressive visuals, achieved despite the N64's limitations, comparing its graphical prowess favorably to GoldenEye 007 and Forsaken. The reviewer highlights the large, detailed levels and the sheer number of enemies on screen simultaneously, even at a steady 30 FPS. Multiple screenshots showcase diverse environments and Buck Bumble's arsenal of 11 weapons, emphasizing the fast-paced, intense combat. The reviewer concludes that Buck Bumble is one of the most intense combat-based games on the N64. This page delves deeper into the gameplay of Buck Bumble for the Nintendo 64, showcasing various enemy types encountered in the game's English countryside setting. The article highlights the diverse range of opponents, from ground-based threats like Bombbeat and Pumpjack to airborne enemies such as Dragonfly, Wasp, and the formidable Web Base. Screenshots illustrate these enemies and Buck Bumble's weaponry, including a plasma gun and guided missile. The reviewer emphasizes the variety of missions, moving beyond simple shoot-'em-up repetition to include objectives like destroying insect generators and completing boss battles. The overall tone remains positive, focusing on the game's intensity and visual achievements, echoing the praise from the previous page. This page is a preview of Buck Bumble for the Nintendo 64. It features screenshots showcasing the game's vibrant graphics and diverse environments. The article praises the game's massive levels, providing a strong sense of freedom and flight. The reviewer highlights the unique soundtrack, described as Speed Garage, and its impressive surround sound capabilities. A two-player mode, offering both racing and deathmatch options, is also mentioned. Overall, the preview is overwhelmingly positive, emphasizing the game's visual appeal, intense music, and innovative gameplay, suggesting it's a must-have title for 64 owners. This page from Total 64 magazine presents The Truth, rated or slated this month, a review section featuring several Nintendo 64 games. The highlighted games include Banjo-Kazooie, Ken Griffey Jr.'s Baseball vs. All-Star Baseball 99, Kobe Bryant's NBA Courtside, Tsunami, Airborder 64, Rampage World Tour, Bust-A-Move 2, and Jeopardy! The reviews seem to offer a mix of positive and negative opinions, although specifics aren't detailed here. A reviews breakdown section shows a spread from the magazine's review of Weetrix. The page also includes an info box detailing memory requirements, player counts, Rumble Pack compatibility, and cartridge size for the reviewed games. The overall tone suggests a balanced assessment of the month's releases. This page is a review section from Total 64 magazine, showcasing a scoring system and the editor's picks for the best Nintendo 64 games of the month. The scoring system ranges from 019 awful to 90100 exceptional, with descriptions for each tier. The Mavericks section highlights 5 reviewers and their top 5 games of the month. Games mentioned include Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye, 007, Forsaken, World Cup 98, Turok 2, Space Circus, and others. The Roundup Breakdown section shows a summary of several game reviews. The overall tone is humorous and opinionated, with the editors clearly indicating their preferences and biases. This page is a review of Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64, featuring vibrant artwork depicting Banjo and Kazooie underwater amidst bubbles and seaweed. The artwork is a stylized interpretation of the game's visuals, showcasing the characters' expressive designs. The large Banjo-Kazooie title is prominently displayed. The review is part of Total 64 magazine issue 17, implying a positive reception given the magazine's cover and emphasis on the game. This page is a review of Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64, comparing it to Super Mario 64. The review praises Banjo-Kazooie's stunning graphics and innovative 64 effects, particularly highlighting the water ripples. The writer, however, finds Super Mario 64, despite its acclaim, somewhat repetitive in its gameplay, focusing too much on collecting stars. The overall tone suggests a preference for Banjo-Kazooie, positioning it as a superior title to Super Mario 64, despite the latter's popularity. The page includes several screenshots showcasing diverse game environments and characters. This page is a deep dive into the gameplay mechanics of Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64. It focuses on the controls, explaining each button's function, from the analog stick for movement to the various attack and special moves using the A, B, C, and ZZ buttons. The reviewer emphasizes the game's innovative use of the N64's capabilities, contrasting it favorably with other platformers, particularly Super Mario 64. While acknowledging Mario 64's popularity, the review suggests that Banjo-Kazooie surpasses it in originality and gameplay depth, showcasing the game's unique features and level design. Screenshots throughout the page illustrate the diverse environments and gameplay moments within the game. The overall tone is one of enthusiastic praise, highlighting Banjo-Kazooie's innovative approach and overall excellence as a platformer. This page is a review of Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64. The reviewer raves about its quality and playability, calling it instantly engaging and praising Rare's work. The review describes the game's story, focusing on the witch Gruntilda and her scheme involving Banjo-Kazooie and her sister Tooty. Screenshots showcase the game's colorful characters and environments, highlighting the whimsical fairy tale-esque world and comparing it favorably to the Discworld series of novels. The reviewer also comments on the game's innovative and engaging gameplay, suggesting it appeals to both children and adults. The review concludes by showing the game overscreen and the fate of 2 Proddy if the player fails. This page delves into the enemies encountered in Banjo-Kazooie, showcasing several with descriptions and accompanying screenshots. We see Badcroc, Shark, Mommy, Grave, and Champa, highlighting their unique appearances and locations within the game's various levels like Bubblegloop Swamp, Treasure Trove Cove, and Mad Monster Mansion. The review emphasizes the game's diverse and challenging environments, ranging from serene mountains to dangerous swamps and even an icy level. The narrative focuses on Banjo and Kazooie's quest to rescue Tooty from Gruntilda, showcasing the game's charming characters and whimsical world. The overall tone suggests a fun, family-friendly game with engaging gameplay and memorable characters. This page is a review of Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64, focusing on its enemies and level design. It features descriptions and screenshots of several antagonists, including Yellow Frog, Teeth Chest, Snowman, Ant, and Skeleton, detailing their unique characteristics and locations within the game's various levels like Bubblegloop Swamp, Treasure Trove Cove, Freezy Peak, and Mad Monster Mansion. The reviewer praises the game's expansive and varied levels, highlighting the challenge and exploration they offer. They also compare the game's visuals favorably to Super Mario 64, noting its addictive gameplay and charming visuals. Overall, the review is highly positive, emphasizing the game's originality, addictive nature, and high-quality graphics. This page is a character profile and review of Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64. It showcases the main characters: Banjo, Kazooie, Tooty, Mumbo, Bottles, Gruntilda, Brentilda, Jinjo, and Walrus, providing a brief description of each. The review praises the game's vibrant graphics, specifically highlighting the realistic water effects and detailed character designs. The writer emphasizes the game's charm and humor, suggesting its appeal to players of all ages, despite the slightly dark undertone of Gruntilda's villainy. Screenshots illustrate various game environments and characters. The overall tone is highly positive, celebrating Banjo-Kazooie's originality and technical achievements. This page features a review of Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64, accompanied by screenshots. The review is overwhelmingly positive, praising the game's graphics, sound design, especially the underwater effects, and charming characters. While acknowledging minor flaws like occasionally problematic camera angles and repetitive puzzles, the reviewer considers Banjo-Kazooie a masterpiece, surpassing even Super Mario 64 in quality and solidifying Rare's position as a leading developer. The overall score is a remarkable 96 out of 100. This page is a head-to-head comparison review of Major League Baseball and All-Star Baseball 99 for the Nintendo 64. The review playfully contrasts the perceived American obsession with baseball to the British view of the sport as a glorified rounders. Both games are praised for their officially licensed MLBPA players and teams, similar control methods, and realistic gameplay. But Major League Baseball's fielders are humorously criticized for their incompetence. The reviewer notes a few differences in gameplay, but overall, both games are considered good examples of baseball simulations on the N64. Screenshots of gameplay and control scheme diagrams illustrate the review. This page is a review of All-Star Baseball 99 for the Nintendo 64, focusing on its gameplay and graphics. The review highlights the game's impressive stadium graphics, comparing them to real photographs, and praises the depth of the gameplay, particularly the AI of the computer-controlled opponents, and the variety of pitching and batting strategies available. Ken Griffey Jr. is featured prominently on the cover art. The control scheme is detailed, showing the use of the analog stick for targeting and the various buttons for actions. The reviewer emphasizes the strategic depth, suggesting that even seemingly simple pitches can be used cunningly to outwit opponents. Overall, the review portrays All-Star Baseball 99 as a superior baseball simulation compared to its counterpart, Major League Baseball, due to its more challenging and strategic gameplay. This page is a review of All-Star Baseball 99 for the Nintendo 64, continuing the previous page's positive assessment. The reviewer, while not a baseball fan, is impressed by the game's stunning high-resolution graphics, 640 by 480, and innovative soft-skin animation technology. They detail the Create-a-Player mode, highlighting its extensive customization options. The camera angles are discussed, with the reviewer noting that while the low angle offers exciting action, the high angle allows for better tracking of the ball's trajectory. Gameplay is compared to Major League Baseball, with the reviewer ultimately preferring the faster pace and more intuitive controls of Major League Baseball, but still acknowledging the superior graphics of All-Star Baseball 99. The reviewer concludes that All-Star Baseball 99 boasts the best graphics and animation they've ever seen on the N64. This page is a two-page spread review comparing Major League Baseball and All-Star Baseball 99 for the Nintendo 64. The review highlights All-Star Baseball 99's superior graphics and animation, noting over 500 character animations, detailed environments, and a realistic crowd simulation that enhances the gameplay experience. While praising the visuals, the reviewer prefers the more arcade-style gameplay and intuitive controls of Major League Baseball. The article features several screenshots showcasing the game's graphics, including close-ups of player animations and crowd reactions. The reviewer ultimately recommends All-Star Baseball 99 for those who prioritize visual fidelity and depth, but suggests Major League Baseball for players seeking a more accessible and fast-paced experience. This page is a review of several Nintendo 64 baseball games, focusing primarily on Major League Baseball and All-Star Baseball 99. The review compares Major League Baseball to three other titles: Famistar 64, Power League 64, and King of Pro Baseball. Famistar 64 is described as a cute, highly playable Japanese game, while Power League 64 is praised as the best of the bunch, offering immediate arcade-style fun. King of Pro Baseball is similar in style to Famistar 64. The main review scores Major League Baseball highly for playability and instant arcade fun, but criticizes its unbalanced gameplay, favoring batting and limited lasting appeal. All-Star Baseball 99 is praised for its superior graphics, animations, and realistic crowd reactions, but its gameplay is deemed less accessible than Major League Baseball. The reviewer ultimately recommends All-Star Baseball 99 for its visual quality, but suggests Major League Baseball as the more readily playable option. This page is a review comparing Major League Baseball and All-Star Baseball 99 for the Nintendo 64. The review highlights All-Star Baseball 99's extensive managerial options, allowing for deep customization down to player attributes and detailed statistics. This is contrasted with Major League Baseball's more arcade-style approach. While Major League Baseball is praised for its immediate and fun gameplay, All-Star Baseball 99 wins out for its superior graphics and realistic simulation, though it's deemed less immediately accessible. The reviewer, while not a baseball fan, found both games surprisingly enjoyable, ultimately preferring All-Star Baseball 99 for its depth, despite Power League 64 remaining their favorite baseball title. The review scores All-Star Baseball 99 higher overall. This page is a review of Kobe Bryant's NBA Courtside for the Nintendo 64. The review emphasizes that the game is a more realistic basketball simulation than arcade-style titles like NBA Hangtime, focusing on in-depth gameplay and strategic options rather than instant action. The reviewer highlights the game's accurate NBA licensing, including all 29 teams and up-to-date rosters, and its Rumble Pack compatibility for enhanced feedback. While the graphics are described as medium resolution, the animation is praised for its smoothness. Overall, the game is lauded for its depth and strategic elements, although it might not be as immediately accessible as some arcade-style alternatives. The control scheme is also detailed with explanations of the various button functions. This page is a review of Kobe Bryant's NBA Courtside for the Nintendo 64. The reviewer, Kobe Bryant himself, initially disliked the game due to its steep learning curve, but ultimately considers it the best basketball game on the N64. The review praises the game's realistic sound effects, including crowd noise, referee calls, and player nicknames, and the variety of camera angles available. However, it criticizes some aspects of the gameplay, such as the less than exciting dunk animations and occasional dull moments. The overall score is 81%. Highlighting the game's strengths despite its flaws. Screenshots show various gameplay moments, and Dennis Rodman's surprisingly uncanny in-game model. This page is a review of the Japanese exclusive puzzle game Tsunami for the Nintendo 64. The reviewer finds the game quirky and unique, comparing it favorably to Puyo Puyo. The core gameplay revolves around linking similarly colored beans to trigger chain reactions and unleash a tsunami effect on the opponent. 3 distinct game modes are featured, with the third mode considered the most engaging by the reviewer. The article also introduces a colorful cast of bizarre characters, including Mr. Squarehead, the rock star, the wise and old ninja monk, the demon baby, and the nurse, each with their own unique gameplay style and quirky personalities. The reviewer appreciates the game's originality and solid gameplay, despite some minor shortcomings. This page is a review of Tsunami for the Nintendo 64, a puzzle game similar to Puyo Puyo. The reviewer praises its addictive and frantic gameplay, especially in 2-player mode. The graphics, while not technically impressive, are considered functional and contribute to the game's quirky charm thanks to its unique cast of characters. The reviewer highlights the sampled speech and bouncy music, which add to the game's overall energy. Tsunami receives high scores across the board, particularly for playability and replayability. The reviewer concludes that Tsunami is one of the most addictive and frantic puzzle games they've played. This page is a review of Airborder 64 for the Nintendo 64. The review describes the game as a quirky, extreme sports title, comparing it to the then-popular snowboarding games and the Back to the Future films, referencing Marty McFly's hoverboard. The game features a variety of courses, ranging from a park to a snowy city and even a large house, allowing for unique gameplay. The reviewer notes the fully interactive environments, where players can perform stunts on vertical walls and in other creative ways. While the graphics aren't groundbreaking, they are deemed smooth and adequately convey the feeling of riding a hoverboard. The overall tone is positive, highlighting the fun and innovative aspects of the game despite some minor graphical issues. The review mentions 2-player mode and a training mode to help hone skills. This page is a review of Airborder 64 for the Nintendo 64. Featuring screenshots showcasing various gameplay aspects and stunts. The reviewer praises the game's innovative and fun gameplay, highlighting the jaw-dropping stunts and creative level design, but criticizes the repetitive level structure and somewhat bland soundtrack. The 2-player mode is mentioned, but the reviewer finds it less engaging than the single-player experience. Despite some graphical issues and a lack of lasting appeal, the game is ultimately seen as a fun and enjoyable experience, scoring a 78 out of 100. The reviewer suggests checking out 1080-degree snowboarding as a potentially better alternative. This page is a review of Rampage World Tour for the Nintendo 64. The review highlights the game's premise. Players control giant monsters, Lizzie, George, and Ralph, resembling Godzilla, King Kong, and a generic monster respectively, who destroy cities. Gameplay involves smashing buildings, eating people, and fighting armed forces. The reviewer mentions the 2 ways to destroy a building: punching through floors or collapsing ceilings by jumping repeatedly. While praising the exciting premise, the reviewer criticizes the repetitive city designs, noting that cities from London to Tokyo look virtually identical. The article includes screenshots showing the gameplay and the monsters. The control scheme is explained using the N64 controller layout. This page features a review of Rampage World Tour for the Nintendo 64. The review is mixed. While the reviewer initially enjoyed the premise of controlling giant monsters to destroy cities, the fun quickly faded due to repetitive gameplay and uninspired visuals. The cities, despite being set in various locations from London to Tokyo, look almost identical. The reviewer criticizes the limited movement options, describing the character controls as static and unimaginative. Though some humorous elements are present, such as monster punch-ups and electrocution, these aren't enough to save the game from its repetitive nature and poor graphics. The overall score is low, reflecting the reviewer's disappointment, despite the game's initially appealing concept. This page is a review of Bust-A-Move 2 for the Nintendo 64. The reviewer notes that it's essentially a port of the PlayStation version, unchanged except for minor graphical differences in music. While praising the addictive two-player mode, they criticize the game's tired visuals and irritating music, calling it a tired-looking golden oldie. Despite the fun gameplay, the reviewer questions the need for this port, given the availability of superior puzzle games on the N64, ultimately giving it a mediocre overall score of 60 out of 100. The review highlights the game's lack of innovation compared to its predecessor and other 64 titles. This page is a review of the Nintendo 64 version of Jeopardy!, a quiz game based on the popular American TV show. The reviewer finds the game visually uninspired and suffers from a heavy American cultural bias, making it less appealing to international audiences. While acknowledging the game accurately reflects the TV show's format, the reviewer criticizes its bland presentation and repetitive sound effects, ultimately giving it a low overall score of 21 out of 100. The review highlights the game's lack of innovation and questionable need for a 64 release, suggesting that it's only suitable for a quick family game during Christmas. This page is a reviews roundup from Total 64 magazine, showcasing several 64 games. It features reviews of 1080-degree snowboarding scoring 89 1/100ths, praised for its realistic snowboarding experience, though with limited replay value. Art of Fighting Twin, also receiving an 89 1/100ths, hailed as one of the best beat-em-ups on the N64, comparable to Tekken but only available on import. Blast Corps, another 89 1/100ths, described as a wonderfully original puzzle game. And finally, Doom 64, scoring 89 1/100ths, a well-executed port of the classic PC game, showcasing the N64's graphical capabilities but lacking in gameplay innovation compared to Gold. Each review includes a small screenshot and icon system detailing game features like save game support, Rumble Pack compatibility, memory size, and number of players. The page also includes country of origin icons, UK, Japan, USA, indicating import requirements. This page is a reviews roundup from Total 64 magazine, featuring 5 Nintendo 64 games. Diddy Kong Racing receives a 95 1/100ths, praised for its fun racing gameplay inspired by Mario Kart 64, though perhaps a bit too cute for older players. Duke Nukem 64 gets a 90 1/100ths, a solid port from the PC version, lauded for its level design, humor, and attitude, minus the strippers. Extreme Egg scores 94 1/100ths, a fast-paced racing game similar to Wipeout, but with occasionally frustrating controls. Fighter's Destiny achieves a 93 1/100ths, praised for its unique fighting system that avoids copying Tekken. Finally, Fire Electric Pen receives a dismal 30 1/100ths, criticized for its simplistic and uninspired gameplay. Forsaken gets a high 96 1/100ths for its excellent 3D shooting and multiplayer, rivaling GoldenEye 007 in playability. Each review includes a small screenshot and icons indicating memory pack usage, multiplayer options, and more. This page is a review roundup from Total 64 magazine, showcasing 64 game reviews. GoldenEye 007 receives a stellar 98 1/100ths, praised as the best N64 game, highlighting its mission-based gameplay, superb graphics, and excellent multiplayer. Is64 gets a 97 1/100ths, deemed the best football game on the console due to its addictive arcade-style gameplay and hidden depth. Lylat Wars/Star Fox 64 earns a 94 1/100ths, lauded for its breathtaking graphics and excellent multiplayer. Mace The Dark Age scores 89 1/100ths, a solid conversion of an arcade game, but its focus on weapons is noted. Madden 64 gets an 89 1/100ths. While lacking the official license and graphics of its counterpart, It's praised for its AI and intuitive gameplay. Finally, Mario Kart 64 receives a 93/100ths, similar to the SNES version, but with improved graphics, longer courses, and superior multiplayer. Each review includes a small screenshot and icons detailing memory pack compatibility and multiplayer options. 12 or 14 players. The overall tone is positive, reflecting the excitement surrounding the early days of the N64's library. This page features a series of Nintendo 64 game reviews from Total 64 magazine. The reviews are concise, each including a small screenshot and a score out of 100. MRC, a racing game, receives a mediocre 81/100ths, criticized for its limited track selection. Mystical Ninja scores a strong 89/100ths, praised for its diverse gameplay and graphics. NFLQ B98, a football sim, gets 89/100ths, compared favorably to Madden. Pilot Wings 64 receives a high 95/100ths for its inventive gameplay and stunning visuals. Power League 64, a baseball game, earns 81/100ths. While fun, it's considered not the best in its genre. Quake 64, a port of the popular PC game, scores 96/100ths, though slightly below GoldenEye 007. Snowboard Kids gets an 81/100ths, deemed fun but lacking depth. Finally, Super Mario 64 receives a near-perfect 96/100ths, lauded as a groundbreaking and magnificent game. The overall tone is enthusiastic, reflecting the strong 64-game library at that time. This page showcases a collection of Nintendo 64 game reviews from Total 64 magazine. We have reviews for Tetrasphere, scoring 84/100ths, praised for its 3D take on the classic puzzle game and excellent music. Top Gear Rally achieves 85/100ths, highlighted as a challenging racing game despite its poor computer-controlled cars. Toucan Road receives a dismal 25/100ths, heavily criticized for its poor graphics, gameplay, and music. Turok Dinosaur Hunter, however, gets a respectable 89/100ths, praised for its animation and weaponry, though overshadowed by GoldenEye 007. Masters, a golf game, only manages 28/100ths due to its repetitive gameplay. Wave Race 64 receives an 89/100ths, lauded for its technical prowess but short gameplay. WCW vs. Ennu earns a 92/100ths, celebrated as an excellent wrestling game with a great roster and 4-player mode. Lastly, Weetrix, a puzzle game, gets a 93/100ths, described as fresh, addictive, and featuring a superb 2-player mode. The reviews reveal a mixed bag, with some games excelling and others falling short, reflecting the diverse quality of the N64's game library at the time. This page is a continuation of the Nintendo 64 game reviews from Total 64 magazine, issue 17. It features reviews of a wide variety of games, giving scores and brief comments. The highlights include World Cup 98, 91/100ths, praised for improved gameplay over similar titles, and Yoshi's Story, 84/100ths, which was deemed too simplistic and short for experienced gamers. The rest of the page consists of a table listing many other 64 games, their publishers, developers, scores, and review issue numbers. The overall impression is that the magazine offers a diverse range of opinions on the N64's growing library, with a wide variation in quality among the reviewed titles. This page is a full-page advertisement for GameBuster 64, a strategy guide magazine. It features a wrestler-like figure pointing at the magazine, promising the ultimate compilation of hints, cheats, and solutions for Nintendo 64 games, including Yoshi's Story and FIFA, Road to World Cup 98. This page is a full-page advertisement for the 64 Game Buster magazine. It features Yoshi from Yoshi's Story prominently, alongside a torn page effect emphasizing the urgency to buy the guide. The ad boasts comprehensive cheats, tips, and solutions for every 64 game released. It's a must-have for any N64 player, promising to help conquer any game challenge. This page is a guide for the video game Forsaken, a space combat game from Acclaim. The guide introduces the game's premise. Players control mercenaries tasked with pillaging Earth after a catastrophic event. 8 different mercenary fighters, each with unique strengths and weaknesses, are available to choose from. The gameplay focuses on collecting items and blowing up enemies, with a strong emphasis on action rather than complex plots or scoring systems. The guide includes controls and a brief overview of the game's backstory and setting. This page provides a walkthrough for the first two missions of Forsaken. Mission 1. Nuke tasks the player with clearing an abandoned nuclear plant of enemies, utilizing power-ups found throughout the levels. The gameplay is described as simple, focusing on shooting everything that moves. Mission 2. Knowledge Base involves locating and placing a bomb near a defensive shield monitor while dealing with aerial attacks and various enemies. The guide highlights the use of crystals to unlock doors and emphasizes time management in the second mission. Screenshots show gameplay moments from both missions. This page details Mission 3. Biodome from the game Forsaken. The objective is to neutralize a MDF task force assembling in a biodome compound. The walkthrough outlines the level's layout, enemy types, including aerial craft, ground tanks, cannons, and kamikaze craft, and strategies for navigating the various rooms and corridors. Screenshots illustrate key areas and enemy encounters within the biodome level. The guide emphasizes a defensive strategy, suggesting players use the environment to their advantage and focus on sustained fire rather than chasing enemies. This page provides a walkthrough for Mission 4. Kill the hero in the game Forsaken. The objective is to locate and destroy the Metatank prototype warship. The guide details the gameplay, emphasizing the use of purple switches to activate doors and the numerous enemy craft and weaponry encountered throughout the level, including robots, cannons, and missile launchers. The walkthrough guides the player through a complex series of rooms and corridors, highlighting strategic points and suggesting a tactical approach to defeat enemies and reach the Metatank. Screenshots show key areas, like the L-shaped room and the Metatank's lair. The overall tone suggests a challenging but rewarding level. This page details Mission 5. Manmech in the game Forsaken. The objective is to inflict maximum damage on Manmech, a master of the MDF, within the Babala's complex, and then activate a homing beacon to escape. The walkthrough emphasizes using the Titan bomb strategically, avoiding its blast radius, avoiding the transpulse gun, less effective than the laser gun/powerpod combo, and constantly firing while flying behind Manmech to maximize damage. Screenshots depict various gameplay sections, including navigating corridors, utilizing air vents, and engaging Manmech's defenses. The guide stresses the importance of collecting energizers and activating the beacon before surviving for 1 minute to complete the mission. The overall tone suggests a challenging encounter requiring skillful maneuvering and strategic weapon use. This page provides a walkthrough for Mission 6. 4 uneasy pieces in the game Forsaken. The objective is to collect 4 scattered pieces of the black hole gun. The guide details a multi-stage process involving navigating circular corridors, eliminating enemy craft, including a Force 1 unit, collecting energizers, and strategically using the orbital pulsar weapon to maximize firepower. The mission culminates in a final encounter where the player must defeat additional craft and cannons to obtain the final piece of the gun. Screenshots illustrate key locations and encounters throughout the mission. The overall tone suggests a challenging but manageable mission, with a focus on strategic combat and navigation. This page is a walkthrough for Mission 7, Temple in the game Forsaken. The objective is to eliminate all enemy resistance within the area. The guide emphasizes the maze-like level design, advising players to carefully search the ground, ceilings, and walls for hidden corridors and rooms. Gameplay involves navigating a long corridor, engaging multiple enemy craft, and strategically using branching paths to reach various areas containing enemies and weapons. Screenshots highlight key locations within the level's complex structure, including a large green room, a blue pyramid crystal room, and several corridors with enemy encounters. The overall tone suggests a complex level, requiring careful exploration and strategic combat. This page is a catalog from Excitement Direct, a UK-based retailer specializing in Nintendo 64 games and accessories. It features a World Cup promotion, offering a World Cup 98 game, a 1MB memory card, and an England sticker kit for a discounted price. The catalog lists a large selection of N64 and Game Boy games, along with peripherals such as steering wheels, rumble packs, memory cards, and various controller options. Several soft toys based on characters from Banjo-Kazooie and other Nintendo franchises are also advertised. The page highlights special edition game bundles and accessories, emphasizing their value and any discounts offered for bundled purchases. This page from Total 64 Magazine, Issue 17, features cheat codes for NBA Live 98 and Rampage World Tour. For NBA Live 98, there are tips on performing a two-handed dunk and finding hidden teams. Nintendo, N64, and Left Field. Rampage World Tour cheats include unlocking a Wild West level and changing character colors. The page also details character-specific allergies in Rampage World Tour, explaining how feeding monsters their allergens will cause them to sneeze and destroy nearby buildings. There's also a hidden character, Vern, who can be unlocked. The overall tone is informal and fun, offering helpful tips for gamers. This page is a cheat code guide from the Cheaty Monkey for various Nintendo 64 games. It features codes for Olympic Nagano hockey, allowing players to change the announcer's voice and character size. For snowboard kids, a super code unlocks all tracks, boards, and characters. The guide also includes cheats for Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, enabling consecutive boss fights, and unlocking hidden ninja and quicksand tracks. The overall tone is playful and enthusiastic, typical of a cheat code column. This page from Total 64 Magazine focuses on finding and keeping the black and white Yoshis in Yoshi's Story. The guide provides detailed instructions on how to locate these special Yoshis in specific levels: 22, 32, 24, and 33. It highlights their unique ability to eat almost anything and earn 3 hearts per fruit, making them valuable for high scores. The page also explains how to retain them for subsequent playthroughs by completing the game while possessing them. Screenshots accompany the text, showing relevant gameplay moments and the Yoshis themselves. The overall tone is helpful and encouraging, guiding players through the process of obtaining these secret characters. This page is a cheat code guide for Ken Griffey Jr.'s Major League Baseball on the Nintendo 64, along with an advertisement for Pride Nintendo 64 game cases. The cheats detail how to throw unhittable pitches and see the game's ending sequence early. There's also a section showing how to unlock secret teams, Nintendo and Angel Studios. The advertisement showcases high-quality, officially licensed game cases, available in single or 3-pack options. This page features the Firing Line Letters section of Total 64 Magazine. Readers discuss the Nintendo 64's cartridge-based system compared to PlayStation's CryDROMs, questioning why Nintendo chose cartridges despite the storage limitations. The lack of violent games on the N64 is also debated, with readers speculating about Nintendo's family-friendly policy. The letter writers mention several games including GoldenEye 007, Resident Evil 2, Turok 2, Shadow Man, The Legend of Zelda, MK Mythologies, and Toucan Road. The magazine includes a contest where readers who have their letters printed win 64 joypads and a steering wheel. Overall, the page provides a snapshot of reader opinions and concerns about the N64's direction in the late 90s. This page showcases the Dear Total 64 Reader Letters section. Readers ask about upcoming 64 games like a Resident Evil-style title, the differences between ISS-98 and GT64, and the possibility of a soccer management game. There's discussion about the new magazine layout, the 64 Duds Tamagotchi games, rumors of a Nintendo 2000 console, and whether Nintendo should release games like Tekken or Virtua Fighter. Another letter questions suspiciously fast times in the high score section for Zero-X, suggesting cheating. The magazine responds to these queries, addressing the likelihood of certain games, rumors, and the process for verifying high scores. Screenshots of Total Implosion and a generic Nissan race car are included. This page features the Dear Total 64 Letters section, answering reader questions about the Nintendo 64. One reader asks about connecting the 64DD peripheral, its price, and upcoming games like Theme Hospital and SimCity 2000. Another inquires about a rumor of the 64D's imminent release, while another seeks advice on creating a school magazine about Nintendo games. The magazine's responses clarify the 64D's connection, price estimates, and game release status, while offering magazine creation tips. A photo of the 64DD is included, along with screenshots of Diddy Kong Racing. The letters also discuss N64 game conversions, specifically mentioning Gauntlet, Paperboy, and several other classic titles. The staff shares their personal preferences for 64 conversions, highlighting various choices. This page shows the Dear Total 64 Letters section, featuring reader questions and the magazine's answers. Readers ask about the release date of the 64DD, Tomorrow Never Dies for the N64, a rumored Bond engine game, level design in GoldenEye 007, and high-score prizes. Screenshots of Pokémon, Pocket Monster, battles are included. The responses clarify the 64DD's status, confirm Tomorrow Never Dies, is PlayStation exclusive and rubbish, explain the Bond engine, it's the game engine, not a game itself, and discuss the possibility of a high-score prize. The overall tone indicates a generally positive response to reader inquiries, although some questions are met with humorous or slightly exasperated answers. This page features the Dear Total 64 Letters section, continuing the reader questions and answers from the previous page. Readers request suggestions for challenging 64 games, leading to a recommendation of titles like Banjo-Kazooie, Forsaken, GoldenEye 007, Blast Corps, Lylat Wars, and Turok. Another reader proposes ideas for Nintendo games, including a Las Vegas-themed title, a table tennis game, and a strip poker game, resulting in a humorous, yet slightly disapproving response from the magazine. The overall tone is lighthearted, with a mix of serious game discussion and witty banter. The bottom half is a large advertisement for Madeira Games, advertising 64 and PlayStation games, controllers, memory cards, and other accessories. This page is a kids' art competition entry showcase from Total 64 magazine. Several young artists' drawings featuring Nintendo 64 games and characters are displayed. The games represented include The Legend of Zelda, Super Mario 64, Yoshi's Story, and GoldenEye 007. The winning entries receive various 64 prizes, including a console, games, and accessories. The overall tone is celebratory and encouraging to young artists. This page showcases high scores from various Nintendo 64 games. The top section features 1080-degree snowboarding, highlighting Ian Onions as the top player across multiple events. The next section displays GoldenEye 007 high scores, with players like Thomas York and Terry Raspberry Perry dominating different levels. Finally, the page presents high-score data from Lylat Wars, showing Andrew Robson and others achieving top ranks in various missions. A small advert at the bottom congratulates the winners of a snowboarding competition, specifically mentioning Ian Onions, George Wife, Thomas York, Terry Perry, and Andrew Robson. This page is a high-score chart for Mario Kart 64 and Snowboard Kids, showing the top UK and US players for each track. The Mario Kart 64 section lists numerous tracks, including Luigi Raceway, Toad's Turnpike, and Bowser's Castle, with players like Rob Pierce, Richard Dunn, and George Wife consistently appearing at the top. The Snowboard Kids section features tracks like Ancient Lake, Walrus Cove, and Grass Valley, showcasing players like John Austin and Justin Marshall. The page encourages readers to submit their high scores with photo or video evidence for a chance to win prizes. This page is a subscription offer for Total 64 magazine. It features artwork of Banjo and Kazooie from the Banjo-Kazooie game, promoting a deal to get 12 issues for the price of 10. The form allows readers to subscribe by mail, check, or credit card, Visa, Access, MasterCard. The offer includes UK and European pricing, with a US phone number also provided. This page is a back issues order form for Total 64 magazine. It showcases cover art from past issues, featuring games like GoldenEye 007, NFL Quarterback Club 98, Extreme G, Banjo-Kazooie, though not explicitly named on this page, Earthworm Jim 3D, Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Quake, Mission Impossible, Turok 2, and Yoshi's Story. Readers can select which back issues they want to purchase and submit their order via mail, check, or credit card. This page is a preview of the next month's issue of Total 64 magazine, teasing upcoming reviews and previews. The main focus is on F-Zero X, promising a full story on what they believe will be the best racing game ever made. Other games highlighted include Biofreaks, a 3D fighting game with unique flight mechanics, Iggy's Wreckin' Balls, a 3D racing fighting game with balls, GT64 Championship Edition, Body Harvest, a time travel alien fighting game, and finally, Mortal Kombat 4, with the magazine promising a good idea whether Midway can revitalize the series. A free 36-page Banjo-Kazooie strategy guide is also included. The page also teases a special feature on the Game Boy's 10th anniversary. This page is the cover of PlayStation Solutions magazine, showcasing its Heart of Darkness exclusive. The cover features striking artwork from the game, along with smaller images and text highlighting other featured titles: Men in Black, Treasure of the Deep, War Games, Alundra, and Cardinal Sin. A free 16-page Breath of Fire 2i mini magazine and a 36-page Dead or Alive Player's Guide are also included with the issue. The overall design is vibrant and engaging, typical of gaming magazines from that era, aiming to attract readers with popular titles and bonus content. This page is the final page of Total 64, Issue 17, featuring a sign-off message from editor Nick Jones. It includes staff credits, contact information for the magazine, and details on distribution and publishing. The main focus is a farewell message from Nick, announcing his departure to work on a secret project, and introducing the new editorial team: Simon, The Lips, Phillips, and Steve Tackle. The article also highlights Banjo-Kazooie as a great game, praising its platforming and hinting at improved Nintendo software. A large image of Banjo and Kazooie is featured prominently. This page is a large advertisement for Special Reserve, a mail-order games club. It boasts a massive selection of games for Nintendo 64, PlayStation, and Game Boy, offering a 10% discount and various free gifts with membership. The ad prominently features the Nintendo 64 limited edition console and highlights games like GoldenEye, 007, Super Mario 64, Killer Instinct, Gold, and many more. Several physical store locations are listed for customers in the UK. This page is a full-page advertisement for Total 64 magazine. It features Banjo-Kazooie and its accompanying bird, showcasing the magazine's focus on Nintendo 64 games. The address for Rapide Publishing is also provided.